She was 74, grieving, gentle, the kind of woman you'd never expect to vanish. When she picked up the phone to comfort the son of a lifelong friend, she thought she was doing a simple act of kindness. But that call would mark the beginning of her descent into one of the most horrifying and overlooked captivity cases in recent American history. For nearly 2 years, she was imprisoned inside a Hyatt hotel room, beaten, starved, sexually assaulted, and hidden in plain sight. Just imagine, while families checked in and out, staff passed by in the hallway, and guests slept feet away, she was locked inside, naked, broken, and silent. Her cries never heard, her name never mentioned, her pain never seen. And the man who did it, he didn't break into her home. He didn't snatch her off the street. He was someone she trusted, someone she'd known for decades, someone who wore grief like a mask and evil like second skin. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the chilling case of Ian Edard Kroe, a man who turned kindness into captivity and a hotel room into hell. If you're passionate about real, gripping true crime stories that the world hasn't heard enough about, hit that subscribe button now. We dig deeper, we expose the hidden truths, and we tell the stories others overlook. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a crime, it's a nightmare. And by the end of this video, you'll be asking yourself, how could this happen without anyone noticing? It was supposed to be a kind gesture, one of those small human acts that remind us of decency in an often cruel world. When the 74-year-old woman heard that her lifelong friend had passed away, she reached out to offer her condolences to the grieving son, Ian Edard Kroe. She had known his mother for decades, watched him grow up. If anything, she felt maternal instinct toward him. But that phone call, that one call would be the moment her life ceased to be her own. She didn't know it, but she had just opened the door to a slow, calculated descent into hell. Ian Edard Kroe didn't look like a monster. To the outside world, he seemed like an aging man struggling with grief. He told stories of his mother's death with practiced sorrow. But behind his eyes lived something darker, something manipulative, cruel, and chillingly patient. And now, with his mother gone, he set his sights on someone who trusted him completely. What began as shared mourning soon morphed into long drives, mutual comfort, and eventually dependence. Kroe convinced the woman to leave behind her old life in New Mexico. The world, he said, had become dangerous. People were plotting against her. There were threats he could see that she couldn't. She needed protection. She needed him. And little by little, she believed him. At first, the road trip felt like freedom. 2 old souls roaming from place to place, from dusty motels to bustling cities. But over time, Kroe began to isolate her, cut off her contact with friends and family, took over her finances, and ensured every decision was funneled through him. Her phone calls stopped, emails vanished, her bank account slowly bled dry. She didn't realize she was being erased. In August 2020, the road ended in Belmont, California, where Kroe checked him into a hotel room at the Hyatt house. But for her, that hotel room became something far worse than temporary lodging. It became a dungeon. It would be her prison for the next 2 years. What happened inside room 408 was something no one could have imagined. From the moment the door closed, the mask came off. Kroe stripped her of her clothes, her dignity, and her autonomy. He would claim later that she was his wife, but his actions betrayed something more sinister. He subjected her to unspeakable acts of rape, assault, and torture. If she cried, he beat her. If she begged for help, he reminded her that no one was coming. He told her he was the only one who loved her. He was the only one keeping her safe. And if she ever tried to leave, he would kill her and then himself. Day after day, week after week, month after month, she endured. She survived with broken bones, untreated injuries, and a spirit that refused to completely die. In 2021, she fractured her ankle. Kroe ignored it. He refused to get her medical help. She dragged herself across the room, naked, bruised, and trembling. And still, no one knew. Hotel staff occasionally passed by. They saw a man and an elderly woman. They heard nothing unusual, no screams, no cries. She was too scared to make noise. She had learned that silence was safer than defiance. He controlled everything, what she ate, when she slept, how she spoke. If she cried too loudly, he would hit her. If she spoke out of turn, he would rape her. She began to disassociate from reality. Her mind created imaginary safe places she could retreat to while her body endured what it had to. She survived by vanishing into herself. But the truth has a way of clawing its way to the surface. In the summer of 2022, after nearly 2 years in captivity, she saw a sliver of light. Kroe had left his phone unlocked. It was only for a moment, but that's all she needed. With shaking fingers and a pounding heart, she opened a social media app and sent a vague, desperate message to a friend she hadn't spoken to in years. It didn't say much, just enough to raise alarm. The message read like a whisper from a ghost. "I need help. I'm with Ian. Please." Then silence. Her friend wasn't sure what to believe. Could this be spam? A mistake? But something felt off. She contacted authorities, who began the painstaking task of tracing the message. The information was vague. No address, no hotel name, just a digital trail filled with shadows. Days passed. The woman inside the hotel room had no idea if anyone had seen her cry for help. She expected punishment any minute, but Kroe remained oblivious. He continued his routine, unaware that outside the walls of their carefully constructed prison, a net was slowly tightening. On August 25th, 2022, officers arrived at the Hyatt House Belmont. They knocked on the door of room 408. Inside, silence. Then movement. The lock clicked. When the officers entered, they found the woman, naked, unable to walk, her body covered in bruises, her finger broken, her spirit hanging by a thread. She looked at them with the eyes of someone who had not seen sunlight in years. Ian Edard Kroe was arrested without resistance, but what he left behind in that room would haunt detectives for the rest of their careers. The investigation unearthed layers of depravity. Kroe had maintained the illusion that the woman was with him willingly. He told staff she was forgetful, sick, sometimes mentally unstable. No one questioned it. He paid in cash, kept himself, smiled politely, and behind those closed doors, he unleashed the worst kind of evil. At his trial, Kroe attempted every delay tactic in the book. He faked medical episodes, claimed to have heart attacks, dizzy spells, chest pain, anything to stall the inevitable. But the court saw through him. His defense? The sex was consensual. The woman was in love with him. She practiced witchcraft, he said. She had spiritual power over him. He painted himself as a victim of seduction and manipulation. It was ludicrous, and the jury saw through it in record time. The victim, now in a care facility, summoned every ounce of strength she had left to face him in court. Her statement was short but unforgettable. "You took everything from me, but I survived. I survived beyond all odds." She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She stared into the eyes of her captor with the cold clarity of someone who had seen death and chosen life. In June 2025, Ian Edard Kroe was sentenced to 394 years to life in prison. The judge called it one of the most horrifying cases of prolonged abuse ever seen in San Mateo County. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read. No cheers, no outbursts, just a heavy, stunned silence. Justice, it seemed, had spoken in the only way it could, with finality. But for the woman, justice is not a prison sentence. It's not closure. There will be no forgetting, no rewinding, no healing that can fully undo what was done. What she endured cannot be measured in years. It will echo in her bones for the rest of her life. Her story is not just one of survival. It's a warning. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears the face of an old friend. Sometimes it walks you to a hotel room, tells you it loves you, and locks the door behind you forever. But even in that darkness, hope found a way in, through one message, one friend, one knock on the door. and for a woman who had been made invisible. That knock brought her back into the light. For nearly 2 years, a 74-year-old woman was hidden in plain sight, imprisoned in a hotel room by someone she once comforted in grief. While others came and went, while life carried on just outside those walls, she suffered in silence, starved, abused, and stripped of her dignity. And yet she survived. Ian Edard Kroe's cruelty went unchecked for far too long, concealed not in darkness, but in a setting most of us would never question. That's what makes this case so deeply unsettling. Not just the violence itself, but the setting, the silence, and the stunning ease with which it all remained hidden. It forces us to ask, how many others are still waiting to be found? This story is not just about one man's monstrous actions. It's about the devastating consequences of overlooked red flags, of unchecked assumptions, and of systems that still too often fail the most vulnerable. If this case moved you, if it shocked you, or made you see the world a little differently, please take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who needs to understand how real this danger can be. And comment below. Your thoughts matter, and your voice keeps these conversations alive. Most importantly, if you value honest, in-depth storytelling that refuses to sensationalize and dares to uncover what others won't, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because there are more stories like this one. Stories that need to be told, and victims who deserve to be remembered. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, stay informed, and stay with us as we continue to uncover the truths that should never be hidden.